6 disturbing true train horror stories. Story 1. The Empty Seat Story. In Japan, there is a well-known story about a passenger who often sees a mysterious figure in a seat on the train. This tale is rooted in Japanese urban legend, especially around Tokyo. According to the story, an elderly woman is frequently seen sitting in an empty seat on the train late at night. Passengers who see her often feel uneasy, but no one ever dares to ask or move her from the seat. One night, a young man who had just moved to Tokyo decided to take the late-night train. He sat in the very seat where the elderly woman was often seen. Not long after, he felt an intense cold and saw the shadow of the elderly woman appear in the seat across from him. The man tried to stay calm, but as the train started moving, the shadow got closer and her face became clearer, and it looked very angry. The man looked around, and all the other passengers seemed oblivious to the strange occurrence. Eventually, he jumped off the train when it stopped at the next station and never wanted to ride the train at night again. Source: this story is adapted from various Japanese urban legends commonly shared orally and through social media. Story 2. The Mysterious Figure on the Night Train. In England, there is a frightening tale about a night train known for its disappearing passengers. According to the story, a young woman who had recently moved to London had to travel home late at night after working overtime. One night, she took a nearly empty train and sat in a seat near the window. After a while, she noticed a man she didn't recognize sitting across from her. The man was dressed in very old-fashioned clothes, as if from the Victorian era. The woman felt uneasy and tried to divert her attention, but the man continued to stare at her with a blank and angry expression. Every time she tried to look away, the man was always in the same place. When the train stopped at the next station, the woman quickly got off, only to see the man disappear into the crowd. A few days later, she read about someone being found dead on the train tracks at the same station, dressed like the man she had seen. Source: this story is often found in English urban legend anthologies and paranormal discussion forums. Story 3. The Forgotten Train. In the United States, particularly in the northeastern regions, there is a story about a train that seems to be trapped in time. According to the tale, there is a train that appears only on certain nights, and its passengers are people who have mysteriously disappeared. One night, a college student on vacation decided to try the late-night train to visit a friend outside of town. As he boarded the train, he felt as if time was moving slower, and the atmosphere inside was very strange, like traveling back in time. He saw other passengers dressed as if they were from the 1920s and seemed unaware of his presence. The train seemed to continue endlessly, despite passing several stations. After a while, the student felt anxious and decided to get off at a station that seemed to appear out of nowhere. When he finally stepped off and looked around, he realized he was in a completely unfamiliar place he had never seen before. After wandering around and eventually finding his way home, he never spoke of the experience again. Source: this story often appears in books and articles about American urban legends and horror discussion forums. Story 4. The Midnight Commuter. Setup. In a small town in the United States, there's a late-night train often used by locals for their return journey after working late. However, there's a story among the townsfolk about a mysterious passenger who disrupts this journey. Story. Lena, an employee at a small company, often takes the late-night train home after working overtime. One night, after hours of hard work, she boarded the nearly empty train. She chose a seat by the window and tried to relax during the long ride home. The atmosphere inside the train felt gloomy with dim lighting. During the journey, Lena sensed something strange about one of the seats across from her. An elderly man sat in that seat, dressed in a black coat and a fedora hat that seemed very old-fashioned. He was motionless and stared straight ahead with a vacant expression. Lena felt uneasy, but decided to ignore him. After several stations, Lena noticed the train stopping unusually long at an unfamiliar station. When she looked at the elderly man again, she saw him now standing in the aisle, approaching her very slowly. Lena felt a chilling breeze around her, and the man suddenly vanished before her eyes. Fearful, Lena tried to stay calm and quickly got off when the train stopped at the next station. However, when she exited, she found herself at a station very different from usual. After wandering around, she discovered that the station was on an old city map and had been out of use for years. Authorities were contacted, and an investigation revealed that the station had indeed been closed for years, and the elderly man she had seen was one of the mysterious passengers rumored to vanish on certain nights. Story 5. The Phantom Train Station. Setup. In Europe, there's a train that passes through a station that supposedly doesn't appear on any map. There's a story about a woman who experienced something very frightening when stopping at this station. Story. Mia, a tourist from the Netherlands, decided to explore Europe by train. One night, she boarded a night train that passed through various charming small towns. As the train neared the final station before its destination, Mia fell asleep in her seat. She awoke to a sudden jolt. When Mia opened her eyes, she found herself at a station very different from previous ones. The station looked very old, with architectural designs she didn't recognize. Dim lights cast an eerie glow, and the surrounding atmosphere felt incredibly quiet. Mia exited the train to explore the station and found that all the signs and directions were old and unreadable. She encountered a man who seemed to be the station's attendant. The man wore a uniform from a bygone era and spoke in a language Mia didn't fully understand, but enough to make her feel uneasy. After some time, Mia's train left, leaving her stranded at the station. Mia was trapped there with no way to continue her journey. When she finally managed to return to the train at the next station, she discovered that the station she had visited was not listed on the railway routes. After some research, Mia learned that the station was part of a local urban legend, where it appeared only on certain nights and supposedly connected to different dimensions. The story remains a mystery to many, and Mia could never forget the strange experience. Story 6. The Scariest. The Girl in the Red Dress. Setup. In Australia, there's a tale about a girl who keeps appearing on the late-night trains, disturbing passengers with her unusual behavior. Story. Oliver, a young man who frequently travels between major cities in Australia, often takes the night train home. One evening, as the train crossed through rural areas, he noticed a young girl in a bright red dress sitting across from him. The girl seemed out of place because the dark outside contrasted sharply with her vibrant dress. Every time Oliver tried to look closer, the girl appeared to be lost in thought and did not interact with other passengers. When the train stopped at several small stations, the girl never got off or moved. Oliver felt uneasy about her behavior, but wasn't sure how to react. At one point, the train experienced a technical issue and had to stop in the middle of the tracks in a very deserted area. Oliver saw the girl stand up and walk toward the exit. When he followed, he found that the girl had vanished outside the train. Curious and anxious, Oliver stepped off the train and searched the tracks, but the girl was nowhere to be found. When the train resumed its journey, Oliver asked the conductor about the missing girl, but the conductor had no knowledge of her. A few days later, Oliver read news about a train accident that had occurred on the same tracks years ago, where a girl in a red dress was found dead. Oliver then realized that the girl might have been a ghost searching for something she never found. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss the latest video. Thank you for watching. I hope you can sleep well. And another one who wants to support the admin. The link can be found in the description.